because I totally get like you get the memories, but maybe like you know, some way to like ease it in, or like it's like kind of like flash, like flashes or something, or like or has like an illusion of like Andy's ghost or something. Oh, I see. Just watching videos like that. I hope you don't mind us doing like a movie night or thing. Okay. Well, that'll be nice.
Sorry about that, everybody. I didn't realize my headphones were off. Were not off. I'm almost ready. All right, everybody. I'm so really sorry about that. You want to delete the 79? Yes, I told you to empty the empty the jump scare. I told you to empty the recycle bin like an hour ago. Fired by CD herself, the only one currently written about is about the worst character. Ooh, juicy. Who's top of your list? Huh? Oh, you talk about something in the chat. Sorry. I can't wait to see. I love T. Cole, and I can't wait to see you tear it apart. You are the exact kind of attitude I wish more people had. Ugh. Excuse me, I need a minute. Good idea she's had this entire game. They go to the window. Ashley starts having oh no you don't. You're going out that window one way or the other, you little fuck. Down on the street they see some children on a field trip and decide to leave this world the exact same way they came in. Ashley rapes him.
Wait, for real?
Yep.
You're not...
Okay, that still needs a puppet marker. You seriously made a teenager talk you out of suicide court? For fuck's sake, just go to therapy. Okay. Need to bother McKay about that. And aside from those two things, everything up to decaying along is golden. All right.
Well, that was... Well, that was... horrible, but at least it's over now, right? Right?
This is what you get if you empty the gun of bullets into the hitman in episode 2, leaving none for Ashley to actually use in her vision or elsewhere in the episode. Or it might just be not shooting Andrew in the vision. I could decompile the game and open the Ashley to actually use in her vision. Of bullets into the hitman in episode 2, leaving none for Ashley to actually use in her vision or elsewhere in the episode. Or it might just be not shooting Andrew in the hitman in episode 2, leaving none for Ashley to actually use in her vision or elsewhere in the episode. Or it might just be not shooting Andrew in the vision. I could decompile the game and open the project file to check, but that's more the vision. I could decompile the game and the vision. I could decompile vision. I could decompile the game and vision. I could decompile the game and open the project file to check, but that's more work than I'm willing to do. Without a weapon, Andrew's threats work than I'm willing to do. Work than I'm willing to do. Without a weapon, Andrew work than I'm willing to do. Without a weapon, Andrew's threats carry a lot more weight, so when it comes time to escape from the cops, she actually doesn't kill the campers over a fire. Other than that, the introduction is largely the same, save for the fact that you can actually call Julia on this payphone and watch Andrew, I don't have a better word for it, cuck the shit out of Ashley, which is hilarious. Actually, it ends when Julia's sister grabs the phone and screams at him and say, "Are you always this overbearing or just when it comes to me?" "Oh, that's rich coming from you. Did you fuck your little sister yet?" "No, but I fucked yours." I know I shouldn't laugh, but that was fucking crisp. Anyway, after fucking up the sacrifice, they're teleported into a different astral realm. The demon calls this the realm between, I think. CD, no! The two of them progress through puzzles that I'm almost positive are straining RPG Maker to its fucking limit. The two of them progress through puzzles that I'm almost positive are straining RPG. Two of them progress through puzzles that I'm almost positive are straining RPG Maker to its fucking limit, and also my patience. Decay has so far had some of the most positive or straining RPG Maker to its fucking limit, and also my patience. Decay has so far had some of the most obtuse puzzles I've seen in a game like this. Admittedly, I'm not good at puzzles, but some of these can go fuck themselves with a rusty railroad spike. In between the puzzle solving, the two stop to take a rest. Ashley thinks, admittedly, I'm not good at puzzles, but some of the two of them progress through puzzles that I'm almost positive are straining RPG Maker to its fucking limit, and also my patience. Decay has so far had some of the most obtuse puzzles I've seen. The two of them progress through puzzles that I'm almost positive are straining RPG Maker to its fucking limit, and also my patience. Decay has so far had some of the most obtuse puzzles I've seen in a game like this. Decay has so far had some of the most obtuse puzzles I've seen in a game like this. Admittedly, I'm not good at puzzles, but some of these can go fuck themselves with a rusty railroad spike. In between the puzzle solving, the two stop to take a rest. Ashley thinks, "Hey, we could stay here," to which Andrew says, "There's no food, water, places to..." In between the puzzle solving, the two stop to take a rest. Ashley thinks, "Hey, we could stay here," to which Andrew says, "We could stay here," to which Andrew says, "There's no food, water, places to get clothes, places to get clothes, Let's say you're doing all right, City. Ah, thanks. Clean ourselves or see clothes, clean ourselves or seek medical attention. No, we can't stay here. No, we can't stay here, you stupid fuck. water, places to get clothes, clean ourselves, or seek medical attention. No, we can't stay here. No, we can't stay here. You stupid fuck. Fuck. I may be paraphrasing a bit. Ashley thinks, hey, we could stay here. To which Andrew says, there's no food, water, places to get clothes, clean ourselves, or seek medical attention. No, we can't stay here. You stupid fuck. I may be paraphrasing a bit. The characters are getting worse mentally to think staying there. They are smart. Characters! You mean character! Fuck. I may be paraphrasing a bit. In between the puzzle solving, the two stop to take a rest. Ashley thinks, hey, we could stay here. To which Andrew says, there's no food, water, places to get clothes, clean ourselves, or seek medical attention. No, we can't stay here. You stupid fuck. I may be paraphrasing a bit. Ashley suggests taking over this place with their inbred children. Yikes, Ashley, you really don't proposition someone delicately, do you? Ashley suggests taking over this place with their inbred children. Yikes, Ashley. Yikes, Ashley. Yikes, Ashley, you really don't proposition someone delicately, do you? She also suggests raising them for food. Ashley, that doesn't work. You have to consume so much energy. Also suggests raising them for food. Ashley, that doesn't work. Ashley, that Ashley, that doesn't work. You have to consume so much energy making one of those things, more than the end result would provide. Why am I trying to talk sense into a woman for whom brother complex has replaced her entire frontal lobe? And things, more than the end result would provide. Why am I trying to talk sense into a woman for whom result would provide? Why am I trying to talk sense into a woman for whom brother complex has replaced her entire frontal lobe? Andrew finally cracks and tells her to stop because it's making him uncomfortable that she's Andrew finally cracks and tells her to stop because it's making him uncomfortable that she's pushing for it so hard. She brushes it off and tries to leave, and so he puts his foot up. You know, out of context, this is the most sibling image ever drawn. Then again, so are all of these, but context is a cruel, heartless bitch. Andrew points out that she's been making a lot of jokes like this. Where did I put... Okay. Has image from... Oh. Disable this first. Ah, there you are. Cruel heart. So are all of these, but context is a cruel, heartless bitch. A cruel, heartless bitch. That particular lust is my domain, Orchid. Andrew points out that she's been making a lot of jokes like this lately, to which Ashley points out that she's been making a lot of jokes like this lately, to which Ashley responds by straddling him and feeling him up. You know, Ashley responds by straddling him and feeling him up. You know, Ashley's weirdly sexually aggressive for a character everyone insists isn't interested in sex. When prompted to explain what's going up. You know, Ashley's weirdly sexually aggressive for a character everyone insists isn't interested in sex. When prompted to explain what's going on, she says that lately they haven't been getting along. And you think this will fix it. We just went over 2 hours of how that's not the case. Of course, Andrew... When prompted to... When prompted to explain what's going on, she says that lately they have... She says that lately they haven't been getting along. And you think this will fix it. We just went over 2 hours of how... And you think this will fix it. We just went over 2 hours of how that's... I mean, he's not wrong. We just went over 2 hours of how that's not the case. Of course, Andrew doesn't really see "let's fuck so you don't kill me" in a positive light, shared DNA notwithstanding. Is that how you see me? I think I might actually cry. I mean, he's not wrong. That is a big neon sign saying this relationship is unsalvageable, you should leave. See, this relationship is unsalvageable. A big neon sign saying this. Ashley is what? You mean weirdly sexually aggressive? Scenes I'd notice. I'm guessing Ashley is pregnant. She's not. No, she's not pregnant. Let's see. Saying this. Thank fuck for that. Yeah, no. She gets pregnant at the end of shots and such, though. When do you expect the Decay video to release? You mean publicly? After, probably sometime after part 2 is of the actual episode is released, and I can finish the video. Saying this relationship is unsalvageable, you should leave. No, that's not good. Let's see. Saying this flashes a little too much. It'd give someone an epileptic fit. Saying this relationship is unsalvageable, you saying this relationship is unsalvageable, you should leave. Saying this relationship saying this relationship is saying this relationship is unsalvageable. Saying this relationship is saying this relationship is unsalvageable, you saying this relationship is unsalvageable, you saying this relationship is unsalvageable, you should leave. There we go. Saying this relationship is unsalvageable, you should leave. See, there's been this underlying aspect with Ashley the entire game. Namely, she is a raging misogynist. See, there's been this underlying aspect with Ashley the entire game. Namely, she is a raging misogynist. Hyperfixation on her brother aside, Ashley views other women in extreme contempt, and multiple times makes remarks that indicate she thinks women fixation on her brother aside, Ashley views other women in extreme contempt, and multiple times makes remarks that indicate she thinks women are only good for sex. It's a big contributor to why she freaks out so badly over Andrew even. Oh, hey, Zane. Q&A for chat. Food. What about it? What about food? You guys can just ask me random questions about anything. Like, editing is pretty monotonous work, so. Contributor to why she freaks out so badly over Andrew even glancing in another woman's direction. Because being his sister. Because being his sister means she can't have sex with him, so she's convinced Andrew sees no real value in her. Granted, I imagine anyone who has had to spend 2 decades around Renee isn't going to come out of that with positive feelings. Granted, I imagine anyone who has had to spend 2 decades around Renee isn't going to come out of that with positive feelings about women. The two decide to put it past them, for now at least, and kiss and make up. Figuratively, I up. Figuratively, I oh, wait, never mind. They do. Figuratively, I oh, wait, never mind. They do. The two decide to put it past them, for now at least, and kiss and make up. Figuratively, I oh, wait, never mind. They do some more puzzles and enter the demon's realm and go to the. Hi, chat. I just got back from a date with my girlfriend. Aw. How was it? Does very thin pizza count? If food is a question, my answer is always yes. Does where you live have any uniquely cultural food? I mean, I guess for Nova Scotia, it's probably lobster. But I was born in Newfoundland, which is big on fish. Which I fucking hate. I suppose there's also Newfie poutine. Oh, I haven't taken my Herman's. I haven't taken my antihistamines. Ow! What is your favorite food? My favorite food? Oh, fuck. That's a good question. Does coffee count? Am I allowed to say coffee? They do some more puzzles and enter the demon's realm and go to their new apartment, unpack and lay down, discussing the nature of... They do some more puzzles and enter the demon's realm. Oops. They do some more puzzles and enter the demon's realm and go to their new apartment. Demon's realm and go to their new... To the demon's realm and... And go to their new apartment, unpack and lay down, discussing the nature of the... Unpack and... This is where you've chosen to place your incredible mop. Truly, it is a fantastic mop. Absolutely stunning. Masterful craftsmanship. Flawless design. Peerless construction. You fall on your knees and weep before true beauty. Do you need help? To think I own this, to think this is now mine. This is like the only genuinely funny moment in the entire fucking game that involves both of them. Like, if Ashley was this weird all the time, she would be a much more entertaining character. Apartment, unpack and lay down, discussing the nature of the deal. Andrew is overthinking it and Ashley is underthinking it, and can you guess what this turns? Andrew is overthinking it and Ashley is underthinking it, and can you guess what this turns into? Does it turn into another fight? This is her second time expressing a genuine emotion. Into? Does it turn into another fight? I think it does. Another fight? I think it does. The next morning, the demon demands that Ashley bring one of the souls she's captured. The next morning, the demon demands that Ashley bring one of the souls she's captured to him so he can eat it. Sadly, his soul vault is locked by tests. Once inside, we Sadly, his soul vault is locked by tests. Once inside, we find all the souls hanging. Eat it. Sadly, his soul vault is locked by tests. Sadly, his soul vault is locked by tests. Once inside, we find all the souls hanging. Once inside, we find all the souls hanging around a soft play area. Okay, these two are definitely their parents. These two are. I honestly thought you were going to cover Shots and Such Laughs, since that one is the most fucked up. See, the problem is, Decaying Along is the one that isn't actually finished. So, like, when I get to the end, like, the second part of Decay is supposed to go on here. First to literally purge these thoughts from his mind. Lord Unknown suggests a continuing partnership where they help one another, and Andrew accepts it. See? It peters off perfectly for me to just stitch the next part on. Around a soft play area. Okay, these two are Okay, these two are definitely their parents. These two are the campers. These two. These two are the campers. These two are the guard and the cultist in the first episode. But who's the grime soul? These two are the guard and the cultist in the first episode. But who's the grime? But who's the grime soul? Anyway, in order to grab a soul, they lure it over with flowers. Kinda good or very grating. The organ and the piano was on point, but good God, does that broken music box go from charming to nails on a chalkboard. Ooh, yeah. Anyway, in order to grab a soul, they lure it over with flowers before trapping it in a bottle. It turns before trapping it in a bottle. It turns out to be the warden. Andrew is surprised at how clean his soul is, given he was involved in an underground organ harvesting ring, to which the demon says,
"The only soul your morals affect is your own."
okay, let me see if I have this right. A normal...
The only soul your morals...
Oh, it's down here.
The only soul your... The only...
I need this thing to sound... I need this to sound garbled. Oh, I know.
The only soul... The only soul your morals... Only soul... Only soul your morals affect is... The only soul your morals affect is your own.
Okay, now let's add a chorus.
The only soul... Only soul your...
Perfect, and now we add the reverb.
The only soul... The only soul your morals affect is your own.
Alright, let's remove that, and then do this. And then we'll pitch shift this one down just one.
The only soul your morals affect is your own. The only soul your morals affect is your own.
Okay, let me see if I have this right. A normal soul... That works. I don't know why I'm so determined to make the demons sound weird, but it's the only time I get to... Actually, no, I know exactly why. It's the only time I get to play with the fucking audio filters. And I love playing with the audio filters.
Have you learned nothing? Oh, pardon me, I assumed you were someone else.
Well, he's polite, I'll give him that. He doesn't... It turns out to be the warden. And turns out to be the warden. Andrew is surprised at how clean his soul is, given Andrew is surprised at how clean his soul is, given he was involved in an underground organ harvesting ring, to which the demon says,
The only...
have you ever done voiceovers for something outside your own videos? Can't say I have.
Your morals affect is your own.
Okay, let me see if I have this right. A All right, come here, you. Oh, I'm gonna have to stick you somewhere. Are the others on here? They're not. Come on, where are the little buggers? Come here, you small, slightly evil ghost. Oh, there you are. Oh, goodness. It's big. There, I need to borrow you. There you go. Now you don't look so much like a fucking, like a lump. The control of a small, slightly evil ghost. See if I have this right. A normal soul is someone who acts completely within their own moral compass. A grime soul is someone who acts outside their moral compass and feels guilty about it. And grime soul is just such a funny word. Yeah. It's like the edgelord form of saying drenched cat. Second, everybody. Let me see if I have this right. A normal soul is someone who acts completely within their own moral compass. A grime soul is someone who acts outside their moral compass and feels guilty about it. And a tar soul is someone without a moral compass who does horrible things unapologetically. And between grime soul and tar soul is someone who does horrible things unapologetically, but hasn't gone far enough to go the rest of the way. I think I got it. I have no idea if this will ever come up again. With the go-ahead to go rest, I think I got it. I have no idea if this will ever come up again. I got it. I have no idea if this will ever come up again. With the go-ahead to go rest, Andrew and Ashley decide the sensible, level-headed thing to do is snoop around the demon's room. And by decide, I mean I force them to do it. With the go-ahead to go rest, Andrew and Ashley decide the sensible, level-headed thing to do is snoop around. Andrew and Ashley decide the sensible, level-headed thing to do is snoop around the demon's room. And by decide, I mean I force them to do it. Here we find a snoop around the demon. I'd associate tar souls as the stinky ones and imagine they smell like cigarettes and roadworks. See, the idea is that a grime soul, like grime is, fuck, where did I literally put it here in the video at one point. Oh, here we go. The ghost heads north to talk to a demon who refers to it as a grime soul. In the previous episodes, the demon often called Ashley a tar soul, the difference being that grime is dirt and can be cleaned with some elbow grease, while tar is as it will always be and cannot be changed. With the go-ahead to go rest, Andrew and Ashley decide the sensible, level-headed thing to do is snoop around the demon's room. And by decide, I mean I force them to do it. Here we find a rock that says, possibly a tar soul, and inside we see a vision of Renee and Douglas and a surgeon. Here we find a rock that says, possibly a tar possibly a tar soul, and inside we see a vision of Renee and Douglas in a surgeon's office with inside we see a vision of Renee and Douglas in a surgeon's office, where the surgeon is giving them grief over ditching quarantine. Where the surgeon is giving them grief over ditching quarantine and not having blood work done. Instead, they have it done locally. The surgeon tries to pressure them into having a blood sample taken, but Renee is adamant. They have it done locally. The surgeon tries to pressure them. The surgeon tries to pressure them into having a blood sample taken, but Renee is adamant against it. In order to shut them up about the very fraudulent quarantine, the surgeon tells them straight away. That's... Smell like cigarettes and roadworks. That smell is constantly emanating from Ashley, though to be honest, it sounds like a scent for self-targeted at men. I'd say the game frames Leia being violent toward Andrew is okay, but I def get the impression him being violent toward her is meant to be taken more seriously. And then the game itself highlights that double standard, which is... See, here's the thing. If you've got one character constantly abusing and antagonizing the other, and then the other character just beats the ever-loving shit out of them, I'm going to view that violence as more acceptable. You know, talk shit, get hit. Where did I put that? Okay, where was I? In order to shut them up about the very fraudulent quarantine, the search... In order to shut them up about the very fraudulent quarantine, the surgeon tells them straight away that Andrew and Ashley aren't going to make, and that they should take out life insurance policies on them immediately. What lovely folk. After poking around a couple of insurance policies on them immediately. Immediately. What lovely folk. After poking around a combination lock, we find another vision showing how combination lock, we find another vision. Combination lock, we find it just that'd be one thing, but a lot of this is violence toward her is framed as something harrowing rather than cathartic. Like that flavor text about the bathroom door is kind of blood chilling. What? Wait, what flavor text? I have not committed all 15 hours of this game to memory. You're gonna have to refresh my memory. There's a mention of the bathroom door doesn't lock anymore because Andrew broke it down to get to Ashley once or something along those lines. Ah. Oh well. Look, here's the kicker. The game has basically has made it very clear that Ashley is the very worst of the fucking worst of humanity. Like, you cannot possibly get lower than this bitch. So I just have no fucking sympathy for the bad things that happen to her. Like, here, I will literally show you a clip of this fucking video. We get treated to the best thing this game could ever show us. Ashley finally getting what's coming to her. Sadly, the delight is soured by Andrew almost rationalizing a reason to leave before immediately talking himself out of it. God damn it, playing this game makes me feel like the world's most useless Jiminy Cricket. Ugh, moral Puritan YouTubers like CD Call just don't get it. The whole point is that we know they're bad people, and so it's fun watching them get worse. Cut the bitch's throat, you pussy! Andrew tells Ashley to give him I am very much not on Ashley's side here, in any way, shape, or form. The thing is, look, let's be fucking honest here. It's only blood chilling because you're raised to view, you have been taught for years to view Andrew attacking Ashley as especially heinous because he's a man and she's not. That's why. That is why you feel that way. That is why Andrew's violence that is why some people view Andrew's violence as inherently worse for absolutely no goddamn reason. You're right. Yep. Patriarchal chauvinism is pretty much the only reason Ashley's abuse is not treated on the same level. Like, Ashley has to do more to be seen as bad as Andrew is. The enmeshment land, folks. Yeah, see, I was not raised that way. Like, growing up with my mother and my sister, I was not raised to believe that, like, women are not capable of, like, handling themselves. And me and my sister got into fistfights all the fucking time. We find another vision showing how all this... A surgeon and an entrepreneur walk into a bar, and this is how American healthcare was made. A surgeon and an entrepreneur walk into a bar, and this... And this is how American healthcare was made. I feel like people really don't seem to remember what the impetus for all this was. Ashley convincing Andrew to trap his 8-year-old friend in a box, knowing she would suffocate to death, and then holding that murder over his head for the rest of his life. It would take a hell of a lot for me to side against Andrew, and punching the shit out of her is nowhere near close enough. It is kind of misogynistic to assume women can't be capable of the same violence as men, honestly. Yep. And that's how a lot of the people who discuss this game operate on it. Like, even the ones I've seen people argue that Andrew is actually worse. Why? Hard to say. And this is how American healthcare was made. The businessman is in shambles because his soda is causing organ failure. Of course, this works. Businessman is in shambles because his soda is causing organ failure. Of course, this works out well for the surgeon, for whom his business is booming. However, the surgeon doesn't do this for money or fanfare. Cutting people up just gets him off. Then he proposes running the... doesn't do this for money or fanfare. Surgeon doesn't do this... the fuck? However, the surgeon doesn't do this for money or fanfare. Cutting people up just gets or fanfare. Cutting people up just gets him off. Then he proposes running the fraudulent quarantine with a fake water company to get a steady supply of organs to perform the surgeries that Toxasoda is making necessary. So this guy can keep cutting people up for his own sick amusement. This is the dumbest fucking conspiracy theory I has ever seen put into a story. 10 out of 10. Ashley suggests that they should kill the both of them. Wow. A murder that actually... No, one sec. That's my coffee. Oop. Oh no. Oh no, my stack of hard drives that definitely do not contain incriminating information. Ashley suggests that they should... Ashley suggests that they should kill the both of them. Wow. A murder that actually does some good. Wow. A murder that actually does some good. You feeling okay, Ashley? You feeling okay, Ashley? Andrew passes on it, more interested in how the passes on it, more interested in how the demon seems to be looking for it, more interested in how the demon seems to be looking for tar souls. It's implied elsewhere that tar souls actually hatch into demons eventually, so I think the demon is trying to get some underlings. It's a pretty small, dinky little thing compared to Lord Unknown, or Ashley herself, like the demon equivalent of Ratbag. The demon comes in demanding to see Ashley in the ritual chamber, which is locked by It's a pretty small, dinky little thing compared to Lord Unknown, or Ashley herself, like the demon equivalent of Ratbag. The demon comes in demanding to see Ashley in the ritual chamber, which is locked by more fucking motherfucker. Tar souls require enrichment, I guess. By more fucking Are they at least good puzzles, or are they just tedious? Like, the puzzles are so bad that Nemle actually acknowledged how much of a fucking obtuse piece of shit they were. Demanding to see Ashley in the ritual chamber, which is locked by more which is locked by more fucking motherfucker. Which is locked by more fucking motherfucker. Tar souls require tar souls require enrichment, I guess. Tar souls require enrichment, I guess. Andrew is, of course, I'm loving the trick mouse pointer. Oh, thanks. I wonder if she finished the other ones. Nope. Require enrichment, I guess. Andrew is, of course, anxious about all the deal making Ashley's been. Drew is, of course, anxious about all the deal making Ashley's been doing because she has the brain power of a particularly bored slug, and Ashley of a particularly bored slug, and Ashley's bitchy because it's all worked out so far, never mind the fact that they're only there because she made a poorly worded deal in the first place. Anyway, Ashley's left... Never mind the fact... God, that's so annoying. Hey, you know, just so you know, the whole Singles Awareness Day thing is really fucking sad. Far, never mind the fact that they're only there because she made a poorly worded deal in the first place. Anyway, Ashley's left alone with the demon, who suggests a partnership. Ashley enters the rituals of people. As a demo out, and it seems exactly a Lolo game. Oh yeah, Puppergeist. I have the demo. I have the demo installed actually. I wonder what inspired the Soda Insurgent plotline, because for me it sounds like an anti-vax thing. I mean, the whole game sounds like an anti-COVID quarantine thing. place. Anyway, Ashley's left alone with the demon, who suggests a partnership. Ashley enters the rituals of people summoning the demon, summons the demon herself, and offers the soul so the demon doesn't have to make deals with anyone. In exchange, Ashley gets unlimited amount of visions and can rob the victims blind in the process. Finally, a job Ashley would be good at, drawing circles. Finally, a job Ashley would be good at, drawing circles and mugging people. The demon even questions why Ashley is so attached to Andrew in the first place, since Grime's souls are useless as a source of power. Well, you see, Mr. Entity, have you ever had a gerbil you don't really like but enjoy having as a decoration for an otherwise barren bedroom? They finally get into a The demon even questions why Ashley is so attached to Andrew in the first place, since Grime's souls are useless as a source of power. Well, you see, Mr. Entity, have you ever had a gerbil you don't really like but enjoy having as a decoration for an otherwise barren bedroom? They finally get into a fruitful vision where the summoner trips over her own words, letting Ashley re-summon the demon and offer. Anyway, Ashley's left a fruitful vision where the summoner trips over her own words, Ashley re-summon the demon and offer the summoner and two bystanders outside, leaving the summoner's boyfriend to look after the guinea pig. Ashley can excuse murder, grand larceny, cannibalism, and incest, but she draws the line at animal cruelty. Who suggests a partnership. Ashley enters the rituals of people summoning the demon, summons the demon herself, and offers the soul so the demon doesn't have to make deals with anyone. In exchange, Ashley gets unlimited amount of visions and can rob the victims blind in the process. Finally, a job Ashley would be good at, drawing circles.
Did the dad ever do anything in this game? I think he spoke like once.
Drawing circles and mugging people. The demon even questions her boyfriend to look after the guinea pig. Ashley can excuse murder, grand larceny, cannibalism, and incest, but she draws the line at animal cruelty. But she draws the line at animal cruelty. Come true, and that they have been
The game would be more fun if the demon was Alistair. I'm pretty sure that's Lord Unknown.
Cruelty. Upon returning, the demon suggests getting rid of Andrew because he saw a vision of him stealing the talisman and destroying it. Given that so far all the visions have suggests getting rid of Andrew because he saw a vision of him stealing the talisman and destroying it. Given that so far all the visions have to some degree or another Andrew because he saw a Andrew because he saw a vision of him because he saw a vision of him stealing the talisman and destroying it. Given that so far all the visions have to some degree or another come true, and that they have been arguing rather severely over Ashley's increasing connection with the demon, this isn't an unfounded fear, so now we're in a bind. Andrew wants Ashley to cut things off with the demon, and the So now we're in a bind. Andrew wants Ashley to cut things off with the demon, and the demon wants Ashley to get rid of Andrew. Ashley doesn't want to do either because the demon makes her feel useful, and Ashley doesn't want to do either because the demon makes her feel useful, and Andrew's the only person damaged enough to actually love her. She literally says he only exists to keep her safe and happy. Making either decision would involve Ashley giving something up, and given that Ashley is largely only concerned about herself, she doesn't want to give anything up. Ashley goes back to bed and lays down beside Andrew. She doesn't want to give anything up. Ashley goes back to bed and lays down beside Andrew and tells him what just happened. Andrew is, of course, irritated that Ashley went ahead and made more deals. Ashley tells him to get over it, and that's when you see the boss health bar appear on the screen as they start having this same old song and dance all over again.
Complaining about Ashley like his wife, that would be the most wild comedy show ever. Oh, oh, that's foul. You made my favorite show get a horrible reputation. Thank you for that. I've made many shows get a horrible reputation. You'll have to be more specific.
Ashley goes back to bed and lays Ashley goes back to bed and lays down beside Andrew and tells him what just happened. Andrew and tells him what just happened. Andrew is, of course, irritated that Ashley went ahead Andrew is, of course, irritated that Ashley went ahead and made more deals. Ashley tells him to get over it, and that's when you see the boss health bar appear on the screen as they start having this same old song and dance all over again. Ashley says she loves him. Andrew says, yeah, right, pull the other one. They have the same conversation in Shots and Such where Andrew asks the simple question of name one thing you love about me, and Ashley completely froze. Here she says, the sun shines out of your ass, and you're the best thing ever. Froze. Here she says, the sun shines out of your ass and you're the best thing ever. Andrew doesn't catch the fact that she called him a thing. Unlike in Shots and Such, where Andrew is at his wit's end with the fact that no matter what he does, it just isn't good enough.
Faint rowdy rumble starts playing in the background. No. No, we can do better. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, that's perfect. The best part is it's the 13th struggle. All right, hang on. I need to get Kingdom Hearts music is copyrighted. I need the Infinite Rivals cover. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, Infinite Rivals Kingdom Hearts stuff is fucking amazing. While I'm waiting for this to download, in fact, where is it? This wacky humor's on your brain. Have you ever watched regular show? No. All right, one more. It's almost done. I don't care what anyone says. Kingdom Hearts has the best soundtrack of any video game ever. Like, if you can think of one that's better, you're wrong. Kingdom Hearts music goes so goddamn hard all the time. Doesn't catch the fact that she called him a thing. Unlike in Shots and Such, where Andrew is at his wit's end with the fact that no matter what he... And that's when you see the boss health bar appear on the... Get over it, and that's when you see the boss health bar appear on the screen as they start having this same old song and dance all over. Again. Ashley says she loves him. Andrew says, yeah, right, pull the other one. They have the same conversation in Shots and Such, where Andrew asks the simple question of name one thing you love about me, and Ashley completely froze. Here she says, the sun shines out of your ass and you're the best thing ever. Andrew doesn't catch the fact that she called him a thing. Unlike in Shots and Such, where Andrew is at his wit's end with the fact that no matter what he does, it just isn't good enough. Here, Andrew has largely accepted that Ashley doesn't really give that much of a shit about him and has largely resigned himself to the fact that Ashley sees him as an object to own and covet and little else. Like, yep, this is my life. That's just fan-fucking-tastic. A lot of Andrew's fixation on the fact that he can't form real human connections because he can't ever be completely honest with anyone in Shots and Such. Ugh. A lot of Andrew's fixation on the fact that he can't form real human connections because he can't ever be completely honest with anyone in Shots and Such that forms the reason he keeps coming back to the fact that Ashley sees... A lot of Andrew's fixation on the fact that he can't form real human connections because he can't ever be completely honest with anyone in Shots and Such that forms the reason he keeps coming back to Ashley is largely absent here. Where Shots and Such orients around Andrew's attachment to Ashley, this route focuses more on Ashley's possessiveness and how it's affected his life. So narratively, Andrew is a lot more objective about what his relationship with Ashley is. At one point, Ashley tries to prove that she can compromise by saying that she let Andrew date his shitty ex. Ashley, honey, Andrew doesn't have a shitty ex. He is the shitty ex. Andrew rightly calls out that his sex life doesn't involve her, and Ashley cries bullshit because of Andrew's rather unsubtle fixations on her. Now, in any other situation, that would be a pretty good win card to have. Unfortunately, who was the shit for brains sick fuck that asked me to inbreed with her the other day? I didn't ask that, and anyway, it was a joke. Get over it. Well, which is it, Ashley? Did it not happen, or was it a joke? Andrew then asks the laser-guided question of, so why'd you grab my dick then? And that causes Ashley to break. Call Andrew a Jedi Master because that was some Yep. Well, which is it, Ashley? Did it not happen or was it a joke? Andrew then asks the laser-guided question of, so why'd you grab my dick then? And that causes Ashley to break. Call Andrew a Jedi Master because that was some spectacular deflection. Actually, wait, no, it'd be Sith Lord, wouldn't it? No, he's a knight with a crappy thesis.
I have a doctorate in Darth Plagueis the Wise Studies.
No shit. No shit, narrator, I'm willingly playing this piece of shit when I could be doing something productive. While he's sleeping in the soul den, the demon comes and gives him a simple task. While he's sleeping in the soul den, the demon comes and gives him a simple task. Collect 5 souls. Collect 5 souls. Collect 5 souls from the realm between. This is very obviously the demon trying to get rid of him, but Andrew spends a very long time This is very obviously the demon trying to get rid of him, but Andrew spends a very long time Andrew spends a very long time rules lawyering his way into not having to owe any cost for the materials and transportation necessary before being sent back into the realm to pick up souls. Cost for the materials and transportation necessary before being sent back or being sent back into the realm to pick up souls. He manages to collect only 1, as despite his
demons. He manages to collect only one, as despite his rules lawyering, the demon never mentioned looking for specific souls, and thus casts him into the realm between to search in perpetuity. Eventually, he tries to contact the demon again, only instead he pulls in Lord Unknown. He tries to contact the demon again, only instead he pulls in Lord Unknown.
Have you learned nothing? Oh, pardon me, I assumed you were someone else.
Oh, thanks for following.
Oh, pardon me, I assumed you were someone else.
Well, he's polite, I'll give him that. He doesn't remember Andrew, and it seems... God, this is lagging like crazy. I think it's time to put this down. What time is it? It's 5? Alright, it's time to put this down and work on the Ghibli video. Luckily, because I kind of realized this... I kind of realized this yesterday while I was writing a Patreon update. It's like, wait a minute. The Ghibli video is like... It's in very clear delineated segments, and I just need to stitch them in order. So I could literally just record and edit them now, like the ones I have. Things are looking... 55-minute video, that's a lot. Oh, it's currently 1 hour and 15 minutes. And it's gonna get longer. Bro, is that CapCut? This? No, this is Sony Vegas. This is very expensive software that I definitely purchased legally. Okay, let's see here. Nausicaa. Is CapCut even on Windows? I don't think the I don't think the TikTok kids are aware of the concept of a PC. Nausicaa, The Valley of the Wind isn't technically a Ghibli film. It was made by Topcraft just before it went out of business. In fact, Topcraft eventually split into 3 different companies: Studio Ghibli, Pacific Animation, which made The Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, Silverhawks, and Thundercats, and Gainax, which made... No comment. Show Neon Genesis Evangelion and Gurren Lagann. Anyway, for whatever reason, probably rule of we got the director, so neener, Ghibli's the one that got to keep the rights to Nausicaa, and so it's forever known as a Ghibli movie. And like most of Miyazaki's work, it's really insistent that you know that nature is good and war is bad, and if you fail to live in harmony with nature, it will kill you and your family and your cat and that windmill for good measure. In the world of Nausicaa, humanity is suffering a post-apocalypse where much of the world is covered in a poisonous forest. The people of the Valley of the Wind live sheltered from the toxic jungle by virtue of living upwind of it, and have cultivated a life around living in harmony with the land and accepting the toxic jungles are just something everyone's going to have to get used to. The titular Nausicaa is the princess of the valley and loves spending all of her time in the toxic jungle and has mastered the art of communing with nature when she saves fantasy Patrick Stewart from a giant potato bug. But then the Valley of the Wind gets invaded by the Tolmekians, who have been transporting a big weapon thing, who have been transporting some big weapon thing to use against their enemies. The Pedjite, and thus the Valley of the Wind ends up being caught in a crossfire of a race war. Let's see, 2 nations fighting each other for imperialistic reasons, the innocent people caught in the crossfire, and a big giant weapon that is known to have caused a global apocalypse and changed the environment to be poisonous to humanity. Be honest, is this about nukes? Because I'm starting to think this might be about nukes.
Nausicaa's approach to environmentalism is actually quite interesting, as it laser focuses on the fact that damage to the environment is itself an own goal. While in real life, rising temperatures and nuclear fallout make areas hostile for humans to live in Nausicaa, the threat is far more direct. The toxic jungle isn't just a place with poison in it. Clean water is actually being filtered through fossilized trees deep underneath it. And the jungle is crawling with insects who swarm at any hostility from humans. New World humans keep trying to burn down the toxic jungle to remove the threat it poses, but whenever they do, the largest of these insects, the Ohm, go, we hear you, but consider the following, and then swarm and destroy everything. And then swarm and destroy everything in their path until they die of exhaustion, and the toxic jungle expands from their corpses. So any attempt to cause harm to nature causes nature to bite back with violent gusto. So any attempt to cause harm to nature results in nature slapping you with its pimp hand. In terms of environmentalist messages, it's pretty on the nose of literally have it. So any attempt to cause harm to nature causes nature to bite back with violent gusto. In terms of environmentalist messages, it's pretty on the nose of literally having nature pimp slap humanity every time it starts thinking of industrializing again. But not if you listen to Nausicaa, stop fighting, and pet the potato bug, which means learn to get along with nature, you fuck! In particular, it makes a point about nature that is ugly. We all love to save the environment when it's a pretty forest you can imagine setting up a cottagecore lifestyle in, filled with rabbits and birds and deer and cute widow elephants. We all know those are important to save because we like them and they're aesthetically pleasing. But you know what's also important? Mosquitoes, wasps, big deadly spiders that will murder you if they so much as look at you, wolves that snarl and are probably bigger than you, ugly, gross, and disgusting insects that don't exist for your aesthetic pleasure, gross, moldy fungi. The toxic jungle everyone fears so much is actually producing clean air and drinkable water, so the thing you believe is a blight on the world because it actively repels you is actually extremely beneficial for everyone. Gee, I wonder why the jungle is populated entirely by insects. There's a particular love of the ugliness of nature, the way a baby ohm is cared for and loved just as much as a fluffy bunny or a moose would be, and they do more good for the world than the people who think they're doing good by eradicating them. More importantly, it's angry. It is angry at man's indifference and unwillingness to understand nature. The Ohm are unmarketable and ugly. You couldn't make a plushie out of them, and the ecosystem they create is almost tailor-made to keep human beings out for their own good. The human tendency toward destruction and reckless conquest is represented in these massive hulking monsters that literally drip gore and look like horrifying nightmare creatures, to visually represent the kind of depravity it takes for a species to destroy the very ecosystem it relies on. No other species does this. No other species does this, and in the world of Nausicaa, the planet has evolved for this. Human beings are no longer the ultimate apex predator. If you start trying to kill nature, nature will kill you back and it will win. Nausicaa is a difficult film to talk about at length. Because it only has one thing to say, but it says it extremely well. There's a point at the end where the Ohm are swarming and are about to wash over everyone. There's a point at the end where the Ohm are swarming and are about to wash over everyone, when Obaba flat out says that if extinction is to be their fate, then so be it. That if humanity needs horrible monsters like the old warriors to survive, then they've long since lost the right to exist, which coming from anyone else would sound eco-fascist, but here it's more of a resigned acceptance of the fact that the big bugs are about to kill them all until Nausicaa risks her own life to stop the swarm. Which makes sense. If we don't take care of the environment, it will kill us. It's a guarantee. That's the kind of film that might sound preachy to some people, but important messages will always seem preachy to people who are out of touch with reality. This will be us one day, but probably without the big lovable potato bug. Knowing the real world, it'll just be a giant wandering spider.
Oops. Oh, wait, you guys can't. Oh. There we go. Okay, here we go. Grave of the Fireflies. So, Grave of the Fireflies has a deeply undeserved reputation as this kind of psychological torture film. Most people are unwilling to watch it because it's just brutal. Most people are unwilling to watch it because it's just brutal, unforgiving sadness at times. And even people who have seen it will usually only see it once and never again. And even people who have seen it will usually only see it once and then never again. If you're one of the few people who list Grave of the Fireflies as your favorite Ghibli film, people will think there's something wrong with you. It's weird that we're in an era where some people are priding themselves on how they love all kinds of fucked up dark media, but ask them to watch a film that's sad, and it's like you just asked them to rip out their own teeth. Well, funnily enough, I already know why that is. Unlike the kind of dark films or books that most people champion, Grave of the Fireflies actually has teeth. Grave of the Fireflies is about two children, Seita and Setsuko, who are orphaned during the waning days of World War II. They end up forced to live with their aunt, who bemoans the fact that Seita doesn't work to earn his keep, and instead stays home to take care of his sister. After enough of the poor treatment from their aunt, Seita decides to take Setsuko to live on their own, figuring they only have to rough it until their father returns. Over the course of the film, the two scrape and scrounge to get enough to eat and make a home in an abandoned bomb shelter. Unfortunately, Seita isn't able to get enough for Setsuko to eat, and she eventually starves to death, it having been revealed early in the film that Seita died soon after. The film covers a lot of different themes, with Takahata himself highlighting the issue of pride. Seita's pride ultimately ends up being the final nail in Setsuko's coffin. At one point, a farmer signals the theme of the film by literally telling Seita to swallow his pride and return to his shitty aunt because, while she may be terrible, it's better than starving out in the wilderness. Seita never takes this option, trying to still take care of Setsuko himself, something he ultimately fails to do. Despite how much the film manages to make you care about Seita and Setsuko, there's a profound apathy toward death all over the film. At the very start of the film, people are walking around Seita's corpse with the level of disgust you'd hold for a dead cockroach, and the bodies of other children are strewn about the place, lying there under the indifference of everyone around them. The fruit drop tin, which we later learn is filled with some of Setsuko's ashes, just gets thrown away like it's garbage. And even later in the film, Seita just casually pulls Setsuko away from a corpse, like it's not even worth acknowledging. All over the place, people who could help them choose not to, too indifferent to their suffering to bother. And it's not hard to see why, because people are dying all over the place. Seita and Setsuko may be the main characters, but they aren't uniquely special in that regard. I think what makes Grave of the Fireflies so viscerally and dreadfully uncomfortable for many is that it's a film that deprives the viewer of the things that give them comfortable catharsis. A happy ending is not guaranteed. In fact, the film opens telling you that there won't be a good resolution for these characters. There isn't a main antagonist to root for and a hero. There isn't a main antagonist to root against and a hero to root for, because every character, no matter how small their role, has a hand in the deaths of these children. Including one of those children. The only truly innocent character in the film is Setsuko. There's a lot of attention put on the terrible systems these children are living in, how it's uncaring toward their suffering, but you're denied the possibility of escaping or leaving it. Trying to exist outside the broken, cold, callous system is ultimately what dooms them. There's nothing especially noteworthy about our main characters. Many people are suffering, even other children are suffering just as much as they are. They aren't the main characters because they're important. They aren't the main characters because they're important, and they're interchangeable with anyone. Any moment where another film would offer you a moment of emotional respite or a moment of catharsis is summarily denied. And you are forced to sit there and think about what you're watching. Grave of the Fireflies is so uncomfortable for so many people, specifically because it's too good at focusing on what it wants to be about, that you can't just ignore it and focus on something else. Even The Tale of Princess Kaguya, a film that is arguably more depressing than Grave of the Fireflies, still warms the audience up with the entire first act of the film, and hides Kaguya's ultimate fate behind visual metaphor. Thinly veiled visual metaphor, but still just enough that a veneer can pretend they're not watching a young girl kill herself out of sheer lifeless despair.
Grave of the Fireflies is raw and unfiltered, and at no point is the viewer ever given a break from thinking about the things that Takahata wants you to think about. This isn't something audiences, especially modern audiences, are accustomed to. Films, especially animated films, constrain themselves to a set of unspoken rules, and when a lot of media gets dark or grim, it does so in a very toothless ways that doesn't ask the audience to take off their warm blanket. Almost every rule about good storytelling is one Grave of the Fireflies breaks, and it does so because following those rules would have made the film easier to watch, but worse. A lot of people don't like thinking about anything when they sit down to watch a movie, so Grave of the Fireflies is a particularly potent pain point because not only does it force you to do that, it especially highlights how the apathy and indifference of the other it especially highlights how the apathy and indifference of the other characters is mirrored by you watching these children slowly dying. Of course, it's not going to be entertaining in the traditional sense, because why would watching children die ever be entertaining? It's actually not hard to think of the kind of person who would love this movie, and that's someone who likes films that make them think. Someone who loves films with a core central theme, and that delivers that theme well, regardless of how sad it is. It's me, I'm someone. That theme well, regardless of how sad it is. It's me, I'm someone. Kiki's Delivery Service is one of 4 Ghibli films that are untouchable sacred cows. If you ask someone their favorite Ghibli film, they'll either say this, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, or Princess Mononoke. In fact, I put out a poll on social media for people to name their favorite Ghibli films, and those 4 were near the top. And those 4 were all near the top. Oh, also Ponyo. This puts me in a very uncomfortable position because I don't think these films are... This puts me in a very uncomfortable position because... Okay, I don't think these films are bad. They're just outclassed, you might say. Having watched every Ghibli film for this video and finding what I believe are some of the best animated films ever made, it has started to annoy me that these 4 get all the fanfare. Anyway, Kiki's Delivery Service is about Kiki, a 13-year-old witch who, following the customs of witches, I guess, has to leave home to begin her training. That training being finding a place to settle down and getting a job, apparently. Kiki comes to live at a bakery and ends up becoming a DoorDash driver, and throughout the film has to deal with managing a proper work-life balance, even at one point experiencing burnout and losing her ability to fly or talk to her familiar. And that's it. That's all Kiki's Delivery Service is. This is going to be a recurring problem, especially with Miyazaki's films, is that there is very little to discuss. They are not especially deep films, nor are they trying to be. In my grading system, most of Miyazaki's films straight up aren't allowed to gain the high. In my grading system, most of Miyazaki's films straight up aren't allowed to gain a star rank because you have to have a core central theme beyond the list of general themes. In my grading system, most of Miyazaki's films straight up aren't allowed to gain a star rank because you have to have a core central theme beyond the list of general themes. Only 4 films in this video have star grades, and none of them are Miyazaki films. Only 4 films in this video have star grades, and only one of them is a Miyazaki film. Kiki's Delivery Service is what's called a coming-of-age film, and I've never really cared for coming-of-age stories. That's because you're 30, CD. No, I didn't like these when I was a teenager, either. Coming of age is one of those general themes I don't count for the theme requirement for a star grade. I've always found it very loose and fast. I'm talking around the movie too much. I need to stop doing that. I will fully confess I'm not in a position to appreciate this movie. It's a coming-of-age story, and I didn't have the kind of adolescence to appreciate that. It covers artist block and burnout, and I'm not really someone who grinds hard enough to experience burnout. And it's one of the more lighthearted and fantastical Ghibli films, and I tend to prefer the more grounded and melancholy Ghibli films. Nevertheless, this was Ghibli's big hit overseas. I mean, it's the film that practically broke them into the Western market. Were it not for Spirited Away, this would probably very frequently top most of the best of lists for Ghibli films. I actually put out a poll. Oh, wait. I used to say that someone's favorite Ghibli film says a lot about their taste in films and stories in general, but in recent years, I've actually found most people have only seen about 5 of them, and it's usually the ones they saw as a kid. And most people aren't aware, and most people aren't even aware Ghibli even has other films or even other directors. The most they know of is Grave of the Fireflies, and that's just by its undeserved reputation as some kind of sadistic endurance test. But I found to people who have seen all of them, Kiki tends to rank lower, not because it's bad, it's just outclassed. Outclassed. Oh boy, let me tell you guys, I was nervous about this one. I'd actually seen Spirited Away when I was 10, and like once later in my teens, and once again for this video. And once again, and for this video, I'd actually seen Spirited Away when I was 10, and like once later in my teens, and for this video, I watched Spirited Away after like all the Takahata films, so I was genuinely nervous that I'd come away finding the film as a... This is before House Moving Castle. So I was genuinely nervous that I'd come away finding the film anemic. That didn't happen. Spirited Away is still amazing, but it is also kind of anemic. Spirited Away has the reputation of being the greatest Ghibli film ever made, and in some cases the best animated film ever made. I wouldn't agree with that. In fact, I feel another Ghibli film deserves both of those titles, but we'll get into it later. Spirited Away is probably most millennials' first introduction to Ghibli's work, and as a result, it often sticks out in their minds as this wondrous and almost magical experience. I myself first saw it at a youth center with my sister when we were like 10 years old, only to get picked up by our father 3/4 of the way through, and then we'd spend the next 3 months trying to figure out how it ended. I didn't actually see the end of it until I was 17. CD, what kind of childhood did you have? A bad one, but not because of that. CD, what kind of childhood did you have? Oh, a bad one, but not because of that. Spirited Away is about this girl, I forget her name, who is upset about moving to a new town. During the move, her parents stop to explore a creepy tunnel with a creepy statue in front of it. Naturally, being a 10-year-old girl, she starts whining and bitching and crying about the fact that her parents are going off into the creepy foreshadowing tube. That her parents are going off into the creepy foreshadowing tube. Deciding not to be left behind, she follows them, where they pig out on other people's food and turn into pigs themselves. It turns out this is the spirit world. Now this girl, oh I remember, her name's Chihiro, has to find protection in the employ of the bathhouse, where spirits gather to wash off the grime of having to be in any place where humans are. What do you think? What do you think of My Hero Academia? I do not watch My Hero Academia because I am over the age of 9. While working at the bathhouse, Chihiro has to figure out how to both save her parents and save the nice dragon boy who helped her out in the first place. It's a relatively straightforward story, largely focused on Chihiro having to emotionally mature from the whining, selfish pissant she was at the start of the film into someone more independent and concerned for others. In the process, you get all that delightfully strange Hayao Miyazaki imagery. An interesting thing about the film is the way in which its mood slowly decreases over time. At the start, it's very high energy, with Chihiro nervous and anxious in the spirit world, going through rather intense moments of action? Can we call it action? Action? Can we call it action? Really, are all action scenes to be defined by fighting? Tell me in the comments, you fucking engagement pigs. Really, are all action scenes to be defined by fighting? Tell me in the comments, you fucking engagement pigs. Anyway, once we hit the halfway point, the film mellows out severely, matching the tone and energy of a Takahata film. There's a turning point after the river spirit where Chihiro's attitude changes, and so does the energy of the film. The plot's sort of all over the place, told with a series of interconnecting vignettes between arriving in the spirit world, getting a job, the river spirit, saving Haku from Zeniba, traveling to return Zeniba's seal, and then returning to rescue Chihiro's parents. Actually, rescuing them comes about almost entirely by accident when Yubaba's child is held hostage by Chihiro, and Haku uses that to barter for Chihiro's freedom. Chihiro's agency comes from her kindness, the way she risks her life for Haku's sake for no other reason than because Haku comforted her when she was afraid, and that kindness is repaid in Haku securing freedom for her and her parents, though that itself comes with the caveat that Chihiro has to be able to identify them. A lot of people will praise how Chihiro's virtue is her empathy, and while that's a good thing, it's something I tend to cock an ear at because a lot of anime with women leads will center empathy and emotions as their primary virtues over the ability to fight, and well, that's a very patriarchal idea of women's strengths. It's not something I've marked the film down for. There's a difference between an old man being patriarchal. There's a difference between an old man being as patriarchal as the world he grew up in and a creator actively degrading women. It's just one of those things where you notice it. It's just one of those things where once you notice it, you can't stop noticing it. Chihiro's relationship with Haku is probably the highlight of the film, as the two knew each other long before this, though they'd since forgotten. Haku is the spirit of a river that had been filled in years ago. It's one of the more subtle environmental jabs in a Ghibli film, but it's one of the more... Haku is the spirit of a river that had been filled in by humans years ago. It's one of the more subtle environmental jabs in a Ghibli film, but human development has actively displaced this poor river spirit from his home and doomed him into service to Yubaba. Do you know about the shitty, secretly dark theory? Oh, we're getting there. As I mentioned in the Pompoko segment, a common element of Ghibli films, often understated by Miyazaki and laboriously laid out by Takahata, is humanity's often stubborn refusal to live in harmony with nature. Humanity destroys and bulldozes nature to expand its harsh, concrete jungles that only become less and less livable, either due to how hot they become or how expensive they are. This is where it's at its most subtle, as the cost of destroying the river has driven this poor spirit away from his home forever. Sadly, their friendship isn't going to last, as once Chihiro and her family leave the spirit world, their memories of it are gone, and they return to their normal, boring lives. Aside from the raw plot, there isn't much else to discuss. Like most Miyazaki films, the story is light and more focused on how it makes the viewer feel than what it makes them think about. It's a coming-of-age story in the most direct fashion. Something that is interesting about Spirited Away is the fact that it is ultimately about very little, but a lot of people are in deep denial about that. There's a conspiracy theory that pops up every few years about how Spirited Away is actually about sex trafficking, with the bathhouse being a thinly veiled metaphor for prostitution. This keeps happening because there's an almost cloying desire to find the secret hidden truths in children's media. It's Spirited Away's own coma theory. You can't have something this mystical without it being secretly about something else. A big part of this is because people are taught that every good story is dripping in symbolism and allegory, and even other anime can be rife with symbolism even to the point it negatively impacts the story. Spirited Away, therefore, is a very good movie, therefore it must have these things. But the funny thing about Ghibli is they do not do this. They never have. If they make a movie that is about something, it is very, very, very explicitly about that thing. Only Yesterday is explicitly about stifling formal culture and anti-urbanism. Princess Kaguya is explicitly anti-patriarchy. The idea that Ghibli would hide a story behind symbolism and subtext is really funny after Grave of the Fireflies, 2 hours of children slowly dying from their own pride and the cruel indifference of the system. If they wanted to make a movie about sex trafficking, they would just make a movie about sex trafficking and say, deal with it. The idea that they would do something like this to hide that or tell it with subtlety is absolutely ridiculous. Photoshop Ghibli's logo over the guy going, I know writers who use subtext, and they're all cowards. Anyway, I just thought that was funny. Spirited Away is great, and it would probably be perfect if it was actually about something. Okay, so Howl's Moving Castle. Alright, I need to come clean about something. I do not think I am giving Howl's Moving Castle a fair shake. When I do marathons like this, my opinion of one thing can be greatly colored by what I saw before it. When doing the Nami games, I played Sex Advice Succubus after Astra's Garden, which greatly contributed to my not finding that game all that interesting, because Astra's Garden was the top of the top. And with Howl's Moving Castle, even people who like it will confess that it's a pretty simple story without much meat to it. And my problem is that I watched it after The Tale of Princess Kaguya. Oh my god, Howl, I am so sorry. Oh my god, Howl, I am so sorry. I am not about to be fair to you at all. So Howl's Moving Castle is about a woman named Sophie who runs afoul of a witch and gets transformed into an old woman. She goes searching for a way to reverse it and runs into the titular Howl with his mobile castle. She poses as a cleaning lady, hoping she'll eventually find a cure in the lair of a powerful wizard, and it turns out that Howl is actually hiding from individual people he's run afoul of, as well as the government, who is trying to turn every wizard into an arm of the military. Also, Howl has been cursed to be without his heart and occasionally turns into a giant bird. Hey, wait a fucking minute! Also, Howl has been cursed to be without his heart and occasionally turns into a giant bird. Hey, wait a fucking minute! Yeah, this is the Owl House, but without loose. Or a plot. As Sophie spends her time in Howl's castle, she inexplicably falls in love with him. It's not really stated exactly when this happens, but at some point other characters start bringing up that she's in love with Howl. Heavens knows why. Howl's kind of an obnoxious pissant, and at one point has a minor mental breakdown because his hair gets turned a different color. What's the point of living if you can't be beautiful? Oh, come on, Howl, you look like someone put Nausicaa on testosterone. The story largely centers around Howl's attempts to avoid being drafted into the military as part of some big magic war or something. The head sorceress paints Howl as a selfish man who uses magic for greed. I don't really know. I heard another YouTuber describe this film as a lovely fever dream, but I wouldn't even give it that. It's just a really unfocused It's just really unfocused as a story. Sophie's looking for Howl to lift his curse, but it's going away on its own. Sophie's looking for Howl to lift her curse, but it's going away on its own, except it's also not. There's two warring countries. One wants Howl to join the military, and then he does, but also doesn't, but also does. There's the evil Witch of the Waste, who is evil one minute, then friendly the next, and is also losing her power, except when she isn't.
Howl's Moving Castle at times feels like Fantasia being very loosely driven by a plot. It feels like an animator wrote it. Okay, an animator literally did write it, but it feels like something that would have been written by the storyboards rather than a script. The visuals are certainly amazing, but there's no connective tissue between them. One thing I do sincerely dislike about this film is that it almost ends up with a theme when Howl laments that it's pointless to exist if you can't be beautiful. Given that Sophie literally has her youth stolen from her, and the Witch of the Waste turns into Jabba the Hutt, there's almost this theme of vanity, but it never really gets there. It just gets dropped. Sophie eventually purges herself of the curse somehow, save for her gray hair. The vanity and callous disregard for things that a shallow asshole would consider ugly just quietly abandoned. Actually, you know what? Watching this movie felt like the memory of a childhood movie. Think of an animated movie you watched as a little kid, like 5 or 6 years old, that you haven't revisited as an adult. For me, it would be Babar the movie. Can you remember the plot, or does remembering it only conjure scenes and sequences that you can't tie to a particular narrative because you were too young to understand what's going on? Yeah, that's what Howl's Moving Castle is like. So yeah, I take it back. Jello was right. This is a fever dream. Babar the Element. Now that's some deep shit. Whoops. From Up on Poppy Hill is probably the most surprising film on the list. I think it's safe to say that Goro Miyazaki isn't a great filmmaker, but that's not really his fault. He was put in the director's chair entirely because of who his father is, where most directors have been in the industry for a long time. And it's not that his films are explicitly bad, they're just wildly outclassed. Tales from Ötzi and From Up on Poppy Hill don't look great compared to Only Yesterday or Grave of the Fireflies, but in all fairness, neither do any of these. Spirited Away, Mononoke, Howl's Moving Castle. Anyway, From Up on Poppy Hill sits in this comfortable middle point of Ghibli's work, where most of their films are either in adorable childhood whimsy or themes so heavy they'd crush your sternum. Poppy Hill is a grounded story about two children from military families trying their best to respect their deceased parents and respect the time and era they came from against the rampaging march of modernity. CD's Encyclopedia of Obscure Media is vast and deep-reaching. Specifically, they want to keep an old newspaper clubhouse from being demolished in favor of infrastructure intended for the Summer Olympics. The lead character, Umi, is the closest child of a family in a moderately sized town who works for her grandmother's boarding house. Her father was a military man who died in the Korean War years ago, but Umi still hangs up flags to guide him home every morning, and her mother is usually away on work. So Umi, being the eldest child, has been parentified as fuck, poor kid. Through a mishap, she meets a boy named Shun, who is a member of the newspaper club that is trying to save the clubhouse from being torn down. Umi and her friends end up getting involved in the restoration of the Latin Quarter, and you can see why they want to save it so badly. It's just such a beautiful old building. This really speaks to me personally as someone from Nova Scotia. In Halifax, there's tons of old historical buildings that, had they not been deemed historical buildings, would have been demolished for some glass colossus by the Conservative Party years ago. So their preservation means Halifax has this mix of old and new buildings everywhere, and it makes the city look positively gorgeous. So Umi and Shun's desire to preserve these rickety old buildings is something I am invested in from the word go, because these buildings have a character to them and a charm that a lot of people would miss if they were gone. In essence, the film is almost anti-gentrification, but more for the sake of preserving history than economic reasons. You're just like the old men who run this country, dumb and enamored with the new. It's interesting to see preservation and respect for history framed as a youth issue, as in stories it's often attributed to the older generations. From Up on Poppy Hill is actually more true to life in this regard, as young people tend to get really invested in old shit all the time. Like, look at all the videos of Gen Alpha kids losing their minds exploring things like rotary phones and cassette players. We're going through a vinyl revival, for crying out loud, as people realize that perhaps old stuff doesn't need to immediately be tossed aside for the sake of modernity. The two children, Umi and Shun, develop a strong friendship that eventually turns into very strong feelings for one another. Unfortunately, this otherwise cute youth romance gets a massive spike wedged into it when it turns out that Umi and Shun might actually have the same father. God, that just fucking sucks. God, that just fucking sucks. To start building a relationship only for that to come in and blindside you. The worst part is this is something that happens in real life, just not usually this early in a relationship. Sure, they're young and they could easily move on and find other people, but that doesn't change the fact that this has to fucking hurt. I don't think I've ever wanted to see a kid in an animated film get a hug more than this. Someone please give Umi a hug. She is going through it. Shun makes this rather practical remark of, I guess we just have to stop feeling how we feel. Yeah, easier said than done, bozo. For both of them, this is just supreme levels of awkwardness, because you can't just turn off feelings that took time to develop in the first place. And aside from that, there's just the general fuck you in particular from fate that can't be ignored. Like, this is the kind of thing that would give a person paranoia for the rest of their life. When Umi's mother comes home, Umi actually goes to ask if any of this is true, and in the process completely breaks down. Oh, thank God someone hugged this poor child. The worst part is Umi's mother genuinely has no idea if they're related or not, because she just never considered the possibility that her husband could have had an affair. He just showed up with a kid insisting they had to adopt him because his parents passed away, but then they gave him to another family who could actually take care of him. Someone please give this baby some answers. Even winning a victory even winning a victory over the school and getting to keep the clubhouse ends up being a hollow victory for poor Umi because of all of this. Thankfully, Umi's mother calls Shun's adoptive father. He'd previously been unwilling to discuss Shun's parentage because Shun is his kid. But after hearing about what's happening between Shun and Umi, gets a hold of the third man in the photo, who explains to them that no, they are in fact not related. Shun and Umi have the same father registered in City Hall because Umi's father had legally adopted him before even talking to his wife about it. All this drama caused by one impulsive man's paperwork. Thanks, dickhead. I feel like this is a film that either makes or breaks entirely on how much you're inclined to performatively gag. If you're someone who devolves into a string of Alabama and Game of Thrones jokes when a film barely skirts alongside this topic, yeah, this is going to be one of the weirder Ghibli films. But if you're someone who is willing to walk with the film to that pier, and you're someone who sympathizes with the often petty struggles of children, then it can be a very cute, very heartfelt, and very emotional film. Sure, the second half plot is weird, but I'd argue that little weirdnesses and dramas like this are just part of life. It's one of those stories an old couple would tell about the bizarre circumstances in which they met, to their absolutely gobsmacked grandchildren. You can feel the frustration on them as they try to get a definitive answer like, can we fucking date or not? Oh my God, this is so stressful. This is just genuinely heartwarming and sweet, and really highlights the way in which the wars of the 20th century affected military families. Genuinely sweet and surprisingly good. Like, I'm struggling where to put this on the ranking, but it's certainly fucking up there. Oh, this was the grade card I made for it.
Oh, daughter, haven't I taught you to forgive and to forget? And if your father's sown his oats, well, still you needn't fret. Your father may be father to all the boys in town, and still he's not the one who sired you, so marry whom you will.
I heard no Alabama jokes about Marnie, I tell you what. I love this movie. At first seems like it'll be a melancholy affair, but then it becomes so unhinged, and I love it. No, it's not even unhinged. Like, this whole section here, like, this whole arc here, where they, like, learn they might be siblings, it's just really fucking sad. It's like, oh, you poor kids. Okay, here we go. The Tale of Princess Kaguya is the last film ever directed by Isao Takahata. Not the last one he ever worked on, that was The Red Turtle, but the last he ever directed. Kaguya is an interesting film specifically because it occupies a very strange nexus, where you need to know someone pretty well to consider recommending it to them, but at the same time, it is the greatest animated film ever made, ever. It has absolutely no equal in quality. The reason you have to know someone very well to recommend it is because all of Takahata's signatures of filmmaking are here. The film is extremely long, and in many cases isn't afraid to be boring to get the point across. And like most Takahata films, it romanticizes rural life while portraying urban life as a suffocating mire of formality and misery and inhuman facades. While I was working on this, I was listening to Jello Apocalypse talk about all the Ghibli films on Patreon, and he talked specifically about how this film is way too long and the story could have easily been told in 20 minutes. Now, I don't begrudge Jello for this kind of take. I've been watching his videos long enough and have enjoyed his work long enough to know he doesn't like slow stories, so of course he feels this way. But while the simple facts of the plot could be conveyed in 20 minutes, the emotions of the lead character could not. Much of the plot is around how the overly formal and misogynistic society of Japan has sucked every last ounce of joy out of this girl's life. It has taken her friends away, taken away the things she loves doing, told her she can't have her hobbies or her garden. Her father gets on her case when she's in the kitchen spending time with her mother. There is a soul-crushing misery in her life that needs time to really sink in and envelop the viewer. I'm getting ahead of myself. The Tale of Princess Kaguya is an adaptation of The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter, albeit one that's altered to suit Takahata's persistent themes about societal expectations versus individual happiness. It's a story about a girl from the moon descending to Earth to learn what it's like to live as a human. She's found inside of a bamboo stalk by a bamboo cutter who takes her home and adopts her. She lives a full life from infancy to adulthood, growing through her childhood extremely quickly. Out of the desire to give his adoptive daughter what he believes is the best possible life, something that any parent could really relate to, Kaguya's father takes the gold he finds in a bamboo stalk and uses it to build her a palace in Nara so that she can live like a princess. However, what her father doesn't realize is that while the city and nobility is a wonderful life for men, it isn't a wonderful life for women who are married off and treated like property to be collected. The film doesn't pull its punches, as even at the age of 13, Kaguya is perved on and pursued by men her father's age. 102.50. Ugh, that old man needs to be burned. Someone please burn him. An important part of the story is how Kaguya sends her would-be suitors on impossible tasks to collect rare and valuable objects, to which all of them attempt to bring fakes to fool her.
In the film, the suitors all compared her to these objects, which is what provokes Kaguya to demand that they find these objects. Which is what provokes Kaguya to demand that they find these relics, and what confirms their disrespect of her is when they attempt to deceive her with fakes. 129.50. A major difference from the story is actually very powerful. One of the suitors, rather than returning with a fake relic, returns with a wildflower and spins a tale about how it represents nature's very beauty itself. Kaguya actually starts feeling moved by this, until the prince's wife stops him and reveals that he had said those very same words to many women who'd felt similarly stifled and suffocated by societal expectations. And it's in this revelation that the symbolism of the wildflower is reversed, plucked for its beauty but swiftly thrown away, as it is no different, no more cherished. In truth, the symbolism of the wildflower is reversed. It is plucked for its beauty but swiftly thrown away, as it is no different, no more cherished than any of the other millions of wildflowers on the side of the road, no more valuable than the wildflowers you stepped on to reach it. It emphasizes the way these men view women, objects to possess for their beauty, but to be swiftly discarded when they either age or their novelty becomes stale to them. Indeed, what is Kaguya if not a flower taken from her grove and placed into a vase to be admired from her beauty, and thus doomed to wilt and wither away and be discarded without a second thought? Her relationship with the Emperor is similarly changed. In the original tale, she rebuffs his proposals, but the two ultimately become something akin to friends, and she gives him a vial granting him immortality, which he doesn't drink. In the film, she completely rebuffs his advances, only for him to become insistent. In the film, the Emperor is recontextualized as such a scumbag that they actually got an actual human. In the film, the Emperor is rewritten into such a scumbag that they went and got an actual human trash can to voice him. Kaguya rebuffs his advances only for him to become more insistent, and that insistent tips her despair over the edge and is the point where she returns to the moon. Much of the otherworldliness of the original tale is downplayed, and the stark contrast between the Moon City and Earth is the contrast between life and death. The people of the moon all have very Buddhist imagery to them, with Buddha himself even making an appearance in the flesh. They have all achieved complete and total detachment from the world, viewing the Earth itself as impure. But even in the face of her mounting misery, Kaguya doesn't want to leave, because even the bad parts of life is better than feeling nothing. The moon people are directly compared to the way feudal Japanese society expects women to behave, showing little emotion, barely moving, being an ornament to be admired, being something less than human. The film portrays returning to the moon involving Kaguya being relieved of her memories, of losing everything she is as a person, and becoming that detached, empty husk, to forever leave this world, never to return. The film is not subtle about what's going on here. Kaguya's otherworldly powers from the original tale are downplayed, her effects on men around her being little more than their own violent misogyny, instead of being found by the people of the moon. 147.39. I actually have to show you this because here we go.
Me, it's been very hard to bear. Without realizing it, I prayed for someone to save me. And when His Majesty grabbed me, in panic, my heart just screamed out, I don't want to be here anymore.
The Tale of Princess Kaguya is not about an otherworldly being who descends to Earth and eventually has to return to the place she came. It's about a girl ripped from her happy childhood, forced to conform to a stifling set of gender roles. It's preyed on night and day by men who views her as an object, and who become so unhappy, her life so bereft of joy, that she can't take it anymore and kills herself. And just in case you thought maybe I'm reading too much into that,
Father, if disobedience to His Majesty considered a crime punishable by death, well then, the only choice is to kill me.
Princess.
Papa, if your happiness depends on wearing the cap of a court official, then I will go to His Majesty as you wish. And after you have put on that cap as part of the court, I will kill myself.
$140.30. There's a persistent oh, wait, I actually already put that in here. All right, let's ad-lib something better. In the Spirited Away section, I mentioned the persistent conspiracy theory that pops up every few years that insists that Spirited Away is actually a metaphor for the scourge of child prostitution. Fascinating theory, specifically because it's trying to find hidden meaning among a film from a studio that has historically never traded in that kind of metaphor. The heavier a Ghibli film is, the more grounded it becomes. Even if they do engage in metaphor, they're not afraid to come out and tell you exactly what they're about. The themes that play in Ghibli's work are ones that you have never needed to take a film studies course to appreciate because they are so direct. Nausicaa. The Earth... 148.42. The Earth knows it's wrong for us to survive if we have to depend on a monster like that. Grave. 1 hour, 6 seconds. Just swallow your pride and apologize to her. Ghibli films are many things, but subtle has never been one of them. And the Tale of Princess Kaguya is the capstone of that philosophy, because what little metaphor is actually, what little metaphor is actually made is complemented by telling you explicitly what they mean when they say this. There can be no doubt in anyone that Kaguya going to the moon is a fantastical, whimsical sheet placed over Kaguya committing suicide. This film actually does something that no other film has ever done, and that's talk about suicide openly and honestly. The uncomfortable truth many don't want to face is that in the vast majority of cases, the causes of suicide are external. Things have happened to this person that has rendered their life so devoid of joy that it is no longer worth living. As a child, I struggled with suicidal thoughts almost daily, and attempted it 3 times. And my parents and sister tried everything that they thought could keep me off the ledge. What none of them were willing to accept was that they were the reason I wanted my life to end. 147.39. In the same way, Kaguya's father is directly responsible for her unhappiness. Though he desires to give his daughter the best life possible, that vision of what the best life looks like is shaped by the violently patriarchal social hierarchy he lives in. He never once asks her what she actually wants. He simply assumes she must live as a proper lady and marry a nobleman because that's what any woman should want. But it's not what Kaguya wants. She wants to go home, live her simple life with her simple friends, and enjoy the simple pleasures of life. I feel this is the part of Takahata's films that is the most contentious, because Takahata romanticizes the fuck out of country life. And most people my age tend to idolize urban living, but I find it very relatable as a child. But I find it very relatable because as a child I spent a lot of time running around in the woods because I grew up in a rural area. And it was one of the few pleasures I had in life. As an adult, I hate big cities. I've been to Toronto twice, and the best part about it was when I left. I've been to New York City, and I never ever want to visit it ever again. Cities are hot and stifling and packed with too many people. My dream is to live in a cottage in the forest and never be seen by another mortal soul for the rest of my life. So when Takahata starts equating the countryside with freedom, I am so on board with this. I'm personally more appreciative of forests than farms. My wife says I'm basically an elf, lol, but the vibe is the same. So Kaguya's desire to return to her mountain, to her friends, to her simple life resonates so hard with me, as does her suicidal despair coming from the very simple and understandable place that life no longer brings her any joy. But in that sense, it's also honest about death. When Kaguya returns, she loses her memory. She doesn't take herself with her. Kaguya doesn't exist anymore. The only part of her that does is the memories of her held by those who loved her. It's right there in the song she sings. Death isn't anything. It is simply an end. The afterlife, if there even is one, is a cold and lonely place. You, as you are, simply cease to exist as anything but a memory. The final sequence does nothing to hide this, even as an entire procession carries Kaguya back to the moon. The colors fade and wash out, and soon even they fade away and vanish. And the music does everything it can to hammer in the totality of Kaguya's suicide while still adhering to the basic plot of the original tale. The tale of Princess Kaguya is without equal. It's always a risk to describe a film as being able to make you cry, because then contrary people will go in and be really difficult about the whole experience. But this is the best animated film ever made. It is It's always a risk to describe a film as being able to make you cry, because then very contrary people will go in and be really difficult with it. But this is the best animated film ever made. It is completely without equal. Its themes are moving and beautiful and horrific and sad. It is a film that will make you coo and delight at the adorable Bibi in the first hour, and then break your heart as she is made more and more miserable. It will stoke feelings in you didn't know a film was capable of. I was fucked up after this movie. Watch it. It is beautiful. I've decided this will be my very first Ghibli film I'll ever watch. Wow! Really setting the bar high. I should warn you, like, there are a lot of films here that I watch, like, almost every Miyazaki film I watched after Kaguya always felt empty in comparison. You are convincing. Thank you. All right. All right, that's going to be it for today. I'll see you all next time.